Well, hello everybody. Oh, it looks like we're having a problem on one of these. The live back here. Hopefully we're back. Um, and I'm not sideways. I think I'm probably sideways on this device. So I'm just going to set it right here today. So, welcome everybody. It is, I am just messing everything up. Welcome to Monday Night Live. And as you can see, I am Kateless tonight. And thus trying to get all the gadgets. Unfortunately, we're not on with Instagram tonight because we only have the two platforms of Facebook on TurningLeaf Wellness Center and my page, Dean Nixon's page. So again, I'm Dean Nixon, not with Kate Simmons, live from sunny St. George. We're excited. I'm excited to be with you tonight. So I just got off the phone with Kate. She is on vacation and hopefully enjoying herself and really getting what she deserves, which is a lot of playtime. So tonight, I was giving her grief about not being here, and we were talking topics and what would be good to talk about tonight. And what really jumped out at me tonight was to really talk about understanding the importance of what we are allowing our brains and our minds to really be connected to and connected with. And the reason that this is coming to me and the reason that I want to talk about it tonight is just simply because of the stress and anxiety that we are struggling with. Yes, Jackie, I just got a message over here. I did say Monday Night Live, so it was just when I was messing everything else up. But back to the topic, back to what I'm talking about, which is mindfulness. Stress and anxiety tends to be one of the biggest issues that we're struggling with today in our world, and one of the things that keeps impacting us the most. I hear about it all the time. I hear about people coming to me all the time talking about their children struggling with stress and anxiety, with their loved ones, family members, themselves struggling with it. And the reason that it's such a huge issue in our world today is because of how tight we're hanging on to the world. We have so much stimulation coming at us all the time, all this information, all this data, all these things that are coming towards us constantly and chronically. And as a consequence of it, we tend to want to hang on to or try to control what's going on around us. And as we try to hang on to, the more we try to hang on to things, the more we lose control of ourselves. So all of this information, all of this data, all of this stuff is coming at us. Well, the reason that we're struggling is because we are not controlling what's happening upstairs. We're not controlling what's happening in our mindset or happening within our control, which is our thinking. And when we start to get into the stress and the anxiety and the trying to control what's going on around us, the world around us, we are telling our brain, we're shifting our brain into either fight or flight. And the fight or flight mode is the stress mode that we tend to go to in reaction to stimulus that threatens us or tells us that we're not okay. And if I'm always worried about getting hurt, if I'm always worried about the things that are coming at me on a constant basis, it shifts my body into an energy of stress and anxiety, fight or flight, and my body never has a chance to recuperate or to relax. So what the brain does is the brain is constantly trying to solve the problem, trying to solve the issue. And as the brain is grasping, wrestling with these things, and our body starts to respond to that stimulus. Our body is in this fight or flight, and so we're either going to run away from the issue or we're going to try to engage an issue and overthink it. By doing so, what happens is the body is constantly fatigued. It's constantly tired. It's constantly unable to perform. And when that happens, the brain gets over fatigued and we can no longer maintain rational thought or the ability to think. Now, in previous lives, I've talked about the 3 stages of consciousness. I've talked about the alpha, which is the consciousness in which you're listening to me talk right now. I talked about the beta, which is that conscious observer in the background that's commenting on everything that I'm saying to you right now. And then we have the theta, and the theta is where we're programmed. It is the autopilot. It is what runs the body. It is what makes the heart beat. It's what makes us breathe. It's what makes everything happen. And when we're learning a new task, when we're learning something new, we put all of our alpha and beta focus on it until it becomes programmed. Once it becomes programmed, we hand it to theta, like tying your shoes, for example. You don't even think about it anymore because we hand it off to that autopilot subconscious state. But that subconscious state is the programming. That's how we're being programmed every day. And we are constantly programming the autopilot. We're constantly programming it to be okay, to be feel safe, to feel in control, or to feel stressed, to feel out of control, to feel overwhelmed. And when we're constantly programming this theta state of mind and mindset, that's why we're always trying to control everything. Because I don't want to feel stressed, I don't want to feel anxiety. So if I can think about all the things that are going to happen, all the things that could happen, all the things that I should be doing, and we're constantly grinding on that, focusing on it all the time, trying not to lose control of our world, trying not to feel discomfort, trying to not feel uncomfortable. But what we don't recognize is we're pushing our body into that fight or flight response state subconsciously. So that's where all of a sudden people will say, my heart starts racing and I don't know why. I don't feel like I can control. I want it to burst into tears. I want to sleep all day. I want to avoid all the things that we do. And when we jump into this fight or flight mode, which we've trained our bodies and mind to do, then the anxiety starts to become chronic and it starts to become overwhelming and it starts to become so frustrating to us because we don't seem to be able to control it. So with that, the solution, how do I solve that? And as always, pushing as hard as I like to push, the answer is in the mindfulness and the meditation processes. Really, we're finding a lot of answers that people are looking for, especially in the personal development, self-help side of things, is learning how to meditate and learning how to do practices of mindfulness. So we are always preaching about this. I'm always talking about it. Kay will tell you I'm always grinding on this. We've got to get mindful. We've got to be meditating. We've got to be working on these things, because in the mindfulness state, in the meditative state, is where we reprogram the theta. This is where we have the most control over our lives, because that's the subconscious reaction space. So if I can train myself, now this is something that I'll explain. So for years in running, treatment centers and especially running treatment centers with adults and teens that are struggling and teens that are out of control, one of the things that I would work very hard to do was to train my staff how to respond or how to intervene if a child or teenager is hurting themselves, or an adult, or hurting other people, or destroying property. So we have to learn how to do what we call passive restraint or positive control, where we have to go in to physically take control of an individual so that they don't hurt themselves, others, or property by hurting other people. And so working with a staff member, it was always about working to, in our minds, mindfully see ourselves intervening and how we intervened, so that when we went into a fight or flight mode, instead of going into fight or flight or freeze, we would go into a situation calmly, because we had already done the mental preparation, which is a form of meditation. And by doing the mental preparation, then when the crisis evolves, the staff member doesn't respond inappropriately. They don't become out of control. They don't hurt other individuals or hurt other people. And they are able to not let their temper get the best of them. They're able to stay grounded and stay focused. And we see this a lot with first responders. We see it a lot with pro athletes. We see it a lot with athletes in general, and people that are constantly dealing with confrontation and stress. And what happens is they learn to control their theta. They get down here into that theta and they reprogram their minds and bodies that they're going to be okay, and that they can face those situations and those experiences the way they want to and the way they want to feel. But that comes from being up here in the alpha and the beta by taking control and taking the time to sit down, meditate, future pace, see ourselves in those experiences. Now, meditation doesn't always have to be this big, long, formal thing. Sometimes it's a 5-minute meditation. Sometimes, and we've talked about this in previous lives, and I've challenged people to just start to take that deep breath. And then for a few minutes, focus on your breathing, and then focus on how it feels in your shoulders and in your spine, etc. And so this mindfulness meditation concept, or being mindful, is a very powerful way to reprogram. So the reason I'm on this topic, as always, is simply this. And hello, Chelsea. Hello, Vicky, and all the people that are saying hello. The reason this is so important is because, and I've talked about this before, but I really want to push this, is that when you're watching television, when you're watching Instagram, when you're watching Facebook, and you get into the relaxed state that you're in, you're really slipping down here into beta and theta. And this is where you're being programmed. Because we call it television programming for a reason. It's because you're slipping into that impressionable, suggestible state, and that's what helps the marketers and the advertisers. They get it. They know that you're in that state of mind. They know you're suggestible when you're watching these things, and so it's very easy to get in and to influence and to program. So if we're allowing ourselves to be programmed, my challenge to you is to control the programming, to allow yourselves to find good content, find content, something along like this, podcasts, webisodes that are positive, YouTubes that are positive, and books, audio books that you can listen to in that relaxed state, and allow yourself to be programmed in a healthy way, so that you're putting good nutrition, a good healthy nutrition into your mind, which allows your body to physically respond to that. And that's the importance of allowing yourself to do these things and allowing yourself to really take control. Now, this is what helps us with the anxiety. This is what helps us with the stress and all the things that we're feeling, is working to gain control over our thinking and the programming that's coming in, so that we can have the control over our lives that we want, instead of the control over our life that we think we had. And we've thought so many years that we've had control over our lives, but we've given our control externally to other sources. So it's really important that we learn to be mindful. It's important that we use mindfulness. It's important to work through all of these types of things. And so I'm getting all these feeds, and I'm excited. So, Anthony LaFord, heck yeah, I absolutely remember you. Hello to you. Chelsea, I'm glad that you love the podcast. Laura, I'm sorry. Hopefully the feed will come back around. But thank you all for tuning in. We're about 15 minutes, not quite as long as normally with Kate. But thank you for tuning in. We'll see Kate next week here. Please like and share our videos. Make sure that you're tuning in for those. Also, for those of you that are still interested in the tickets, we do have tickets for this upcoming event for the local supporting of the kids locally here in St. George. We have the Summer Slam, and it is in going to support families in need and help the kids in our community. So hopefully you'll be able to go to this. It's $10 for adults, $5 for youth. So again, those of you that want tickets, just in the remarks down below, I think we've got a few more left. So otherwise, please go. Buy the tickets to support those in our community. So those of you that are tuning in, I know Laura DeLong, who's tuned in, she's a big supporter in her community back in Michigan and always doing things to help those that are in need. So thank you for her being one of those catalysts in our world. Be a catalyst in the world that you're in, wherever you are. There's great people. Parrish is another catalyst I know out there. CJ Wade, a lot of these great people that are tuning in today. Be that catalyst in your community. It just really reaches out and helps other people. Share these videos, be a catalyst, and let other people know we're out there. So thank you all for tuning in. You guys are amazing. I miss Kate, but I'll give her grief next week. So again, thank you for tuning in to Monday Night Live, and we will see you all next week. Now I'm going to have to figure out how to turn these off by myself. So let's see how I do.